I'm Kim Strauss, and this afternoon we're going to spend just a few moments taking a look at the administrator's role in the end of the T-TESS cycle year. So let's log into Eduphoria and find the Appraise app. You probably have done that many times. We're going to click the Evaluations tab. Now at this point in the year, we need to determine how well have we completed all of our walkthroughs and observations for the teachers that we're appraising. You can see this very quickly if you'll choose Appraiser Setup on the lower left. Your campus probably is automatically populated. I'm going to go to the campus where I appraise, and I have the list of people that might be assigned to me. Let's take a look at Brenham. She has been assigned the instrument T-TESS Teacher Cycle 1, so she might be new to my campus or new to the school district. Cycle 1 must include a formal observation in the T-TESS appraisal cycle. So I can look across, I see that she has had one formal walkthrough and two formal observations, perhaps one in the fall and one in the spring. Therefore, her criteria for being on Cycle 1 has definitely been met. What is she missing? Her summative conference. Looking at someone else that I appraise might be Thomas Spall. He's on T-TESS Teacher Cycle 2 instrument. So he is an experienced teacher in our district, and he was not going to have a formal observation as a part of his appraisal cycle. So I look across and I see that he's had one formal walkthrough, no formal observation, but he's also needing to have his summative conference. You probably, as a great appraiser that you are, have already done 1 million informal walkthroughs, which may not be documented in Eduphoria. And of course, that's great, but we definitely want to have some formal walkthroughs for these Cycle 2 teachers. Let's see what happens next with the summative conference. So I'm going to go back to the left-hand side. I'm going to go to my campus where I'm going to be appraising, obviously, and I'm going to choose Thomas Spall because I'm ready to do his summative. Remember, he's a Cycle 2. He's never had a formal observation, but he has had formal walkthroughs. Once I've chosen Mr. Spall, I can notice that he has two goals right here that he set for himself at the beginning of the year. One has been submitted to me. I have obviously approved it. I can click it to see that. It's already been approved. If he's made some changes, which he may have in the meantime, I can reapprove it if I'd like to. The second goal, professional development, he has already marked complete, which means that in his eyes, he has totally done everything that he planned from action items by his target date, and maybe he even provided some evidence. So I am ready to archive those goals. So if I click Archive Goal, it can no longer be edited by Mr. Spall, but it stays in his record as an archived goal. So I've taken a look at both of his goals, and perhaps the first goal, called Classroom, he might want to continue that on to next year. Maybe it hasn't been achieved yet. So because it is not completed, I can't archive it. So it's not even an option for me up here. And we might discuss this during his summative conference. So if Mr. Spall were with me right now and we're having the summative conference, I would probably go through the goals, archiving the ones that are marked complete and discussing the ones that weren't complete, and resetting and helping Mr. Spall to set his own maybe new target dates, maybe new evidence requirements, or what it is he wants to do to grow in that goal. The next thing I need to do in the summative conference is to add a summative conference document to the current documents, the current appraisal cycle documents. So I'm going to go down to the bottom left-hand side, and of course this would happen before the face-to-face summative conference. I'm going to say New Evaluation. On the right-hand side, I'm going to change it to Summative Documents, T-TESS Summative Document, click Next, and here's the cool part. I'm going to choose the date of the summative conference that I'm getting ready to have, or the date that I filled it out. I can put in a class name if I choose, or I can just leave it blank because it's a summative, I'm not choosing one class. Then I have this neat option of being able to copy an existing observation or start with a blank one. So if Mr. Spall had a formal observation already that has taken place this year, like I showed you with Brenham before, she had one in the fall and one in the spring, and I just thought the spring was the one that best represents where she is as a teacher, then I could just say I want to copy that document. For Mr. Spall, I could probably do the same, but he doesn't have any observation documents because he's in Cycle 2. So I'm going to have to choose Start a Blank Summative. and I click finish. So here's the summative document, and I can determine from my walkthroughs that he's proficient, accomplished, distinguished. I might want to add some notes, and I'm going to go through each domain and mark it accordingly. Now, if it were Miss Branton and I wanted to use her spring formal observation, when I copied that, every one of the qualifiers here, each one of the dimensions would have already been populated for me, along with some of the comments perhaps. And so that will speed up the process. So if you had a lot of teachers in cycle 1 and you've spent all that time doing those observations, don't worry. It'll copy right over, and then you can adjust for the summative if maybe since their observation to now here in April or May that they've actually gotten better and you want to improve the evaluation. So I've gone through the entire instrument. I have rated Mr. Spall on each one of the dimensions, and I'm going to click Save. Now you're going to notice on the top that there is a button that says Let Staff View. Whoa, don't click it. That can only be clicked by TEA guidelines after or during your face-to-face summative conference. You cannot let a teacher view the summative document until you've had the summative conversation with them. So once you've saved it, until you're ready to meet with that teacher, you're done with that summative document. Okay, so now here comes the day. Mr. Spall comes into my office. We sit down together. I would go through his goals, looking at the ones that were approved but still incomplete by him, making the suggestion that he continue the goals. We would look at the goals that he's completed and are now archived. We could talk about the successes and joys, or maybe the frustrations that came with that goal. Then we could go into the summative, and I could go dimension by dimension and discuss and ask Mr. Spall where is he going to grow in each dimension, or maybe he's already reached distinguished, and I would give him my evidence as to why I would rate him as distinguished or accomplished and so forth. Once the summative conference, the face-to-face conference has occurred, then and only then can I go ahead and click Let the Staff View. It says, do you want to make this document available for the staff members? If I click yes, then I'm telling TEA the state, if they were to audit this, yes, I have met with them face-to-face and I have gone through each one of these pieces. So at this point it says marked viewable on Friday, April 21st, 2017 at 2:24 p.m. Mr. Spall just got an email with this information, and he would have this summative available for him to view. Why is that important? Well, you guys know, because they need to know where you rated them so that they can set new goals for the following year. They can see how they're doing as a teacher and grow, or even just appreciate the fact that you saw something good going on inside of their classroom. But just remember to wait to click the view it until after the conference. If you don't, you're not in compliance with TEA guidelines, so please make sure that you follow that as well. Okay, so I'm now completely done with Mr. Spall, but let's double check. So if I am still right here in Mr. Spall's documents, I can click appraisal status, and it has the status of all of his documents, so it's super cool. So we had a goals document set at the beginning of the year. He wrote his goals, he created the goals document. We probably had some type of pre-conference at the beginning of the year, especially if he was cycle 1. And then I have 2 walkthroughs. I had one pending. Maybe for whatever reason I didn't finish it and didn't save it. That's why it would be pending. He has 0 observations. Why? It's not applicable because he's cycle 2. And then I have his summative documents here as well. So I think in my mind, this is definitely finished. And I'm going to go ahead and click save, although it's not required. That's only if you put something down here in the comments. So let's review. We can look at all of the teachers that are under our appraisal by going to our appraiser setup on the lower left, making sure that we are in the appropriate campus, looking to see how many documents have been completed for each teacher. Then I can choose the teacher. I need to review their goals. If there's any goals that have been completed, I can archive those goals. I can create a new document that's going to be a summative document. I can mark the date of the document. I can copy an existing observation if they're a cycle 1 teacher, start with a blank one if they're a cycle 2 teacher. I'm going to pick, this is Ms. Branton, so I'm going to pick one of her observations here. Once it's pre-populated, I can go in and fix it. Obviously this one hadn't been marked, that's why it didn't pre-populate, but don't worry, yours will. Then I'm going to save it. during my live face-to-face summative, or afterwards, I'm going to say, let Steph view. Yes, definitely, I want her to view. And then her appraisal cycle is completed for the year. If you have any other questions on how to use Eduphoria to complete the end-of-year summative conferences for teachers, feel free to give me a call. Have a good day.